Hello, hello. I am so excited because we are about to talk with Sarah Jakes Roberts, who, as of, a few hours ago, technically, is now a brand new New York Times bestselling author with her brand new book, which I am so excited about. Let's see, I see her right here. Hello, hello. Hello, hello. I am so excited. Let's see here. All right, we have so many requests to go live, so let me grab Sarah and pull her on in 1 second. Let's see here. I'm gonna pull her down right here. 1 second. There she is. You guys, I'm so excited. This is gonna be fire. This is gonna be so good. I cannot wait. And if you are just hopping on with us right now, I just want to encourage you to also tag someone else who needs to get a big dose of inspiration, a big boost of all things on how to break up with your fears, how to revolutionize your life. So let's see, Sarah, I just sent you a request, and let's see if you get it and hop on. Hopefully you get it soon. I just saw Sarah Jakes Roberts hop on. So she is on here and we're just trying to get connected super fast. So thank you guys so much for being live with us. And let's see here. Dun, 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 dun. Okay, I just sent one more request. Let's see if it works this time. Okay, she's in the building. That's what I know. She's in the building. There she is. Hello, hello.
You.
How are you?
I'm doing great. It's an exciting season.
Oh, yeah. So, I was going to introduce you, Sarah Jakes Roberts, as my friend. I was going to introduce you as pastor and best-selling author and mama and entrepreneur and daughter and wife. But what I get to do now, as of, I don't know how many hours ago, is everyone joining us. This is New York Times best-selling author, New York Times best-selling author, Sarah Jakes Roberts in the house. Congratulations, my friend. How are you doing? How are you feeling? I've got so many questions and everyone on has been sending me questions and I'm so excited. This is going to be fire for the next few minutes. So thank you for being here. How are you doing? How are you feeling?
Jamie, I was just sharing this with our launch team. I feel a mixture of amazed and indifferent, if that makes any sense, but I spent a really long time trying to come to a place where I felt like when I write this book, I don't want it to be about being a New York Times bestselling author. I want it to be about me doing what I believe God told me to do and just allowing whatever happens to happen after that. And so happened, I was like, okay, like, all right, something else incredible has happened with this book. But I'm glad that I didn't need it. You know what I mean? That I wasn't living for it, because I think that it just made it like a cherry on top of what has already been a really great season.
Yeah. Well, you talk about that a lot, about not attaching our journey to the outcome, right? But to what we go through on that path. So powerful. And so just because I'm your friend, I can just be on the outside being like, yeah. And I'll just be so excited all about it. So how are you doing? I know a lot of people hopping on live have been following you through this season recently, seeing you on doing the whole press tour, the whole press launch, going through this with your launch team, this beautiful journey and birthing this amazing book that's really a movement is what it is. And, how are you doing right now? Because this is week 1 and I can share from experience. By this point, I was like, oh, it's a lot. Launching a book into the world, it's a lot.
It is a lot. So I woke up, which I'm sure you can relate to. I think you're still on the West Coast, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So I got up at 1:45 to do Good Morning America. But I am, Jamie, I am just finding so much gratitude right now. Like, I am not the kind of person who can function off of a little bit of sleep. And that has been my reality for like the last 2 weeks, I'll say, is not having that much sleep. But I just feel like there are so many people, even watching right now, who have incredible books, who have gone through so many different trials and triumphs and so many stories that deserve to be told, that I want to make sure that I honor the opportunity that is ahead of me with a heart that says, okay, it's early, this is going to be rough, but at the end of the day, this is beyond what I could have ever imagined for my life. So I want to step into it with wisdom and with gratitude. And so I am tired. I'm definitely tired. I don't know what to do when I'm not interviewing and I have businesses to run, but I don't even know how to run them right now because I feel like everything is running me. But, you know, I'm going to get some rest and reset after everything kind of calms down a little bit.
Mm. Well, you know, a couple of things. A lot of people, when they were seeing that we're going to hop on live together, are sending over questions, sharing their stories, talking about, you know, fears that they have that they're trying to get unstuck from. And so, you know, a couple of questions I want to ask you actually come from real women, you know, just like you and me, right in the middle of it, who have dreams on their heart, who have hopes, but they're kind of letting their fears keep them stuck. And I know with your book, Sarah, that is so brilliant, and I have a couple hard copies and also the Audible. I'd highly recommend the audio too. So good. I've been doing my morning walks, right? I love it so much when, of course, I would support your book no matter what. You're my friend. But all of a sudden I realize in the midst of the book, it's literally changing my life. So I just want to say thank you for that. And it makes me so much more excited to be on this live with you because, you know, there's so many people joining us right now that I know have either already been impacted by this book or will be. And by the way, if you're hopping on and joining Sarah and I right now, we are talking about all the things. This is Sarah Jakes Roberts, New York Times bestselling author. I'm just going to say it, Sarah, of Woman Evolved, how to break up with your fears and revolutionize your life. And if you're joining us right now, I just want you to tag someone that you know maybe is stuck or being held back by their own fear, and can really benefit from the next few minutes that we're live together. Tag them in the comments because they'll see this and maybe they'll hop on live and be blessed by Sarah too. So I want to just ask you right off the bat, Sarah, how do you break up with your fears?
Yeah. Okay. So the first thing that we have to do is acknowledge that we are in relationship with our fears. Anytime we're in relationship with something, we begin to receive the way that person does life. Like if we just talk about a person, like I start thinking the way that person thinks, I start acting in some ways the way that person acts because we are in relationship with that person. When we are in relationship with our fears, our thoughts start to reflect what our fears say. Our actions begin to reflect what our fears say. So we have to acknowledge that I am in a relationship with my fears. It's determining what I think is possible. It's determining whether or not I open my heart. It's determining how I dream, how I believe, how I pray, what I believe is possible. And when we acknowledge that, then we have to begin to untie our thoughts, our fears, our actions, and begin to decide, how do I move this thing forward for me? Because I am a person of faith. I believe that God wants to see us at the highest version of ourselves, and anything that is beneath that is a reflection of where our fears keep us limited. And so, you know, sometimes you have to tell your fears, it's not you, it's me. It's not you, it's totally me. And I wish you the best, but you got to go somewhere else while I become everything that I'm supposed to be in God. And so I think acknowledging I'm in relationship with my fears, seeing how my fears are dictating how I show up in the world, and then saying, what would a faith-based decision, what would a love-based decision, what would a purposeful decision look like in the place of where that fear decision was?
I think it's so good. I want to actually read an edited version of a little excerpt out of your book. By the way, the bookmark here, well-behaved women seldom make history. Love it so much. Love that quote. Love that it was in the bookmark in your book. Okay, I want to just do an abbreviated reading because I think this is super powerful. I think every person listening to us right now can connect with this, right? Probably in real time. We all have thoughts that can take root. And, you know, I want to read this little excerpt right here that says, thoughts duel in our minds and have two origins. They're birthed in faith or fear. Our fears pretend that they keep us safe, right? And then our faith demands we draw on courage that we don't possess. So when our fear and faith speak to us at the same time, we often do nothing and we stay stuck. But when we stay stagnant, we feel hunger and longing because more has been assigned to our name.
Yeah.
Literally, the first time I read that and then heard it on Audible, like my whole body got chills, because I think everyone watching us right now, we all know inside when more has been assigned to our name. Like we know that. We know we have that feeling, that longing, that feeling like that we have more to give or more to create or serve or right or love or express. And when we're not doing it, we feel that longing. We feel that pain. So can you just talk about that a little bit, and that you explain it so beautifully, that our fears convince us they're keeping us safe, but faith requires we call and courage. Sometimes we feel like we don't have. So what do we do?
You know, yeah, I really wanted to try and find the words to help people express what that feels like, because our fears, it would be different if our fears were just like talking crazy to us. But
Right.
sometimes I like, don't love again, don't dream again. You don't want to hurt again. You don't want to feel that again. And so we start feeling like, okay, if I live this life based on my fears, then at least I won't experience vulnerability again. At least I won't experience hurt again. And yet we do have this desire to live in the fullness of who we are. No one likes being restricted emotionally, spiritually, or otherwise. And so I felt like if I could get people to understand that I know where you're coming from, I get where you're coming from, but I still believe, even with that in mind, that there is an opportunity for you to break out of the limitations that our fears create. And breaking out of them first just starts with acknowledgement. Like, I acknowledge that where I am right now is not a place I chose to be. It's a place my fears directed me to be. And, to write this vision, what would I look like limitless? What would I look like if there weren't things holding me back? And what are those thoughts that have been playing out in my mind? Because it is going to require faith, but faith, we got to point faith in a certain direction. If faith is a gun, we got to point it towards something, and we want to make sure that we're pointing it towards whatever it is that is going to bring out the best version of ourselves. And so I wanted people to get really specific. Like, I would like to have faith to speak up instead of shutting down. Like, let's get specific about where we can utilize faith, so that when we're standing in those moments and we get to choose, is fear going to show up or is faith going to show up, we get to choose that faith option.
So good. Yeah, like full body chills. Everyone who knows, and in your words, when more has been assigned to our name,
Yeah.
like we know it. We know it. And it's so easy to stay stuck because of fear, or to think that we're keeping ourselves safe because of fear, or to really talk ourselves out of our own truth. And Sarah, sometimes it's our friends or family that love us so much and they mean well, or our partner, right? And they mean so well, but all of a sudden their own doubts are coming all over us. And we're like, we start to doubt our stuff even more, or their own fears, I should say, are projected onto us. So I think this is so powerful. And talking about doing the work and knowing where you're going to aim your faith, I think that's huge too, because then you kind of have certainty and clarity around it. So super powerful. One thing that I want to talk about that I heard you say, and it was so powerful. And anybody hopping on right now, I know a lot of people hopping on. If you're just joining us, by the way, this is Sarah Jakes Roberts, author, brand new book, Woman Evolve. If you haven't grabbed it, grab your copy. I love it in hardcover because I can highlight the heck out of it, but I also have it on audio, and it's so good, because then you get chills during your morning walk and your whole day has changed. So you got to grab it on both. But if you're just joining us right now, I just want to encourage you, while we have a few minutes left, to tag somebody in your life in the comments below, who could use a boost of inspiration, and also just maybe they're on their own journey of overcoming their own fears and they really want to learn how. Sarah's book, Woman Evolve, break up from your fears and revolutionize your life. If you know someone in addition to yourself who could really benefit from these next few minutes, tag them in the comments because they'll see that we're live if you do that, and they'll hop on and be blessed by Sarah too. So one thing that I want to ask, and again, I thought this was so powerful and so raw and so vulnerable and so relatable. And I have so much appreciation for you sharing it. It's also something I feel every single day. And you talk about living from a place of inadequacy and showing up. And you talk about, and I was listening to a live that you did, and you were talking about showing up from a place of inadequacy and where that intersection of your own inadequacy meets God's strength. Oh, what can happen, right? When you make that decision to show up. So can you explain that to everyone who's with us now, and just how that mindset in their own life can be so powerful? Because sometimes we all just feel inadequate, or like we don't have what it takes, or like it's somebody else who's gonna, write the book or be, qualified to do this or that, or get the promotion, or make the first move on a date, or whatever it is, right? We start to think we're inadequate so often. I feel that every single day, and I thought what you shared is so powerful. So for everyone listening, can you just kind of explain all that and explain how that is in your life right now?
Absolutely, Jamie. I posted that because it's been a really great week, right? And, we've been doing some press and exposure that is just beyond what, anyone gets when they have these book opportunities. Like, we can't ever take for granted the opportunities that we've been in. And yet I wanted people to see, like, it wasn't because I became so confident that I never felt inadequate, or that I never feel like I don't have growing to do. I just learned to do it anyway. And I feel like it's important for people to know that, because so many of us put our lives on pause, waiting for the moment that we feel strong enough to do it. I'm waiting for the moment where I feel confident enough to start the business, confident enough to open my heart again, confident enough to sing, to write, produce. We're waiting for that moment, and it never comes. And then we get frustrated with ourselves because we aren't there yet. And I felt like it was important, while this light was shining on me, that I help people to understand that we don't wait until we get there. We do it in spite of the fact that we aren't there. Because if I can do it in my own strength, if we finally become adequate, that means everything I do, I'm doing it in my own strength. I'm knowledgeable, I'm confident, then there is no space for God. God is what up the difference between where you lack and where you're headed. I don't know who's on this live and what all is assigned to your name. That is between you and God. The Most High has a plan and a vision. And I don't know what's standing in the way, but what I do know for sure is that what makes up the difference, whether your parents were in your life supportive or not supportive, whether you went to school or got the loan or got the deal or got the business, what makes up the difference is what God does from the space where you don't have it. And if we could get to a place where we stopped having a funeral for what we did not have, and instead say, God, what can you do with what I do have, even though it doesn't feel like enough, that's when I believe we really begin to walk and partner with God on the earth. And at the end of the day, that's what I feel like my purpose is. And purpose is such this like nebulous idea where people are just like waiting for Amazon to deliver it, because we've just made it. It's this special secret sauce that no one fully understands. My purpose is to ask for God's presence to show up through me in everything that I do. So I'm in purpose when I'm at the grocery store. I'm in purpose when I'm raising my children. When I allow myself to be a tunnel and a vessel to what God wants to do in my life, that's when I get to be in purpose.
It's so good. I think so many people, we like don't try or don't start or think, I don't have what it takes, or I'm not qualified, or I feel inadequate. And, anybody with us live right now, first of all, I just want to declare right now, I want you to declare for yourself. Comment in the comments, like, okay, so let's just say we're all inadequate, which we all are, right? But let's show up anyway. Like if we actually had full confidence and full belief in ourselves, right? That God is going to carry the difference and going to carry the weight and going to take us where we need to go for our calling, right? How would you show up if you didn't worry about being inadequate, right? Type in the comments right now. Share with me and Sarah, actually. There's something you would do differently in your life right now if you're like, you know what? It's all right that I feel inadequate because he's going to carry the rest. So let me show up anyway. And I think especially for women, this is a really big thing, right? You look at all the studies out there that show women don't apply for raises or promotions or new jobs until they feel like they meet 100% of the qualifications, whereas for men, it's about 60%. You look at all the studies out there, and we hold ourselves back because we feel like when we have those feelings of inadequacy, then we're not ready. And that's just not true. And you did this live all on your own, and I watched it, literally full chills. I was like, this is so good because you were so vulnerable. I think this was yesterday, the day before you did this. And I just think it's so powerful. I just want to thank you from one woman to another, Sarah, for sharing that, because it's part, I believe, of the revolution and the movement that need to happen with women evolving, as you would say. And I just want to ask you something funny, because I had the blessing of doing Good Morning America with Robin Roberts for my book launch, and you just did Good Morning, which was like 7 weeks ago. And then I happen to see you talk about your experience, right, of showing up even though you feel inadequate. Because from the outside, people see you as somebody with millions of women that follow you for incredible reasons, someone who lives such a public life, someone who is so powerful. And so for you to show up powerful in terms of owning your confidence, and of knowing your purpose, of being confident enough to share the real stuff behind the stuff as well. And part of that is you sharing, like, even when you live from a place of inadequacy, you show up anyways. And can you share that right before you went live on Good Morning America, they told you had 4 minutes, and can you share that story? Because I related to that so much. For anyone out there who just sees the highlight reel, maybe you guys just saw Sarah literally crush it on Good Morning America with Robin Roberts, which she did, right? Can you share the behind the scenes? Because I think this is so good, so people know they're not alone in their own stuff.
Absolutely. So I got up early. We're at the little studio. We did it remote here in LA, but we were still in the studio. It's a small little room. And they're like, all right, we're coming to you in 60 seconds. So my big thing always, like, I'm always breathing. I'm always like receiving God's love, God's wisdom. And then he's like, you got 30 seconds. Like, I was like taking violent breaths as possible, because I was like, oh God, I need more. And then they're like, we're coming to you now. And I was like, hi.
I saw that moment. I saw the moment when they pulled up live on Good Morning America, you and Robin Roberts. You look so calm, like you like commanding the whole thing. You would never know that right before that was your step.
Absolutely. And then there comes a moment where you're like breathing, and it's time. We don't have any more breath left. It's time. It's time for you to walk on the stage. It's time for you to knock on that door and ask for the promotion. It's interview time. And you just have to decide, you know what? I trust that I really took it in. Like, I trust that God's presence is with me. So it goes from breathing it in and acknowledging it to saying, you know what? I trust it. Like, I trust it. And I think that what people ended up seeing when I was doing Good Morning America was really me coming to a place of trust, where I'm like, God's going to give me the words. He's going to say what needs to be said, because I'm going to trust that I've got him with me.
So good. I did that exact thing right before this interview, just so you know. So I live that way all the time. Yeah, I mean, one of my favorite prayers is like, God, use me, love, use me, right? Because I think when we realize what we're doing is to serve or bigger than ourselves, it helps make it not about us, right? And I try to do that as often as I can with everything. I want to ask you, Sarah, especially for people just joining us right now. I see people hopping on live right now. If you're joining us live, I'm here with Sarah Jakes Roberts, brand new author of Woman Evolved, and I'm just going to say it because I'm her friend. New York Times best-selling book, Woman Evolved, and we are talking about how to break up with your fears, how to revolutionize your life. And if you're just joining us, I just want to encourage you again to just tag anyone in your life who you think could be blessed in the next few minutes while we're still on this. Maybe somebody who just needs a boost of inspiration or belief in themselves, or someone who's stuck, or dealing with their fears, or someone who thinks that where they came from, or maybe a setback they went through, or a mistake they made, or a regrettable incident that happened, or just a season of grief or loss, that they think something that they went through is actually going to hold them back from where they're going. If you know someone like that, tag them now in the comments, because they'll see that we're live and they'll hop on with us. And I just want to say, Sarah, I think something that you're doing that is so powerful for people who have faith, for people who don't have faith, for people who just feel maybe in the past, maybe they didn't connect with faith because they felt judged by it, or that they needed to be perfect for God to show up for them. I love so much how you share your journey of becoming pregnant at the age of 13, and of what your life was like in that season, and of evolving not only as a woman, but in your own purpose. And I just think it's so powerful. Can you just share a little bit about that? And can you share your thoughts and your words for anyone with us live right now who might be thinking that, you know, something they did in the past that maybe wasn't their what they thought they were going to do, or this or that or whatever, doesn't have to be who they are in the future, right? And just that journey that we all go on, and how to not hold us back from it, and how to not look at the past and think that is our future, but it can set us up for our greatest future.
You know, Jamie, I feel like a lot of times when we've had experiences in our past, that it's really challenging for us to forgive ourselves, because we feel like we did something wrong. And it's hard to not feel wrong when you've done something that is wrong. And yet, I shared my story about my teenage pregnancy and then all of the decisions and issues that I had after that, because I wanted people to see that they were not the only ones who've gone through something, who have something that kind of makes you, for a long time, hearing my own story would make me cringe. Like, we can be honest. Like, there are moments where you look back over your life, where you look back over things that have happened to you, perhaps things that you have done, and there's a part of you that shudders and cringes inside. And as long as I was shuddering and cringing at my own life, I couldn't love and embrace myself, nor could I accept God's love or the love of anyone else around me. And I was just tired of hating my own life, hating my own journey, hating my own body, hating my own scars. And I feel like if you're listening to this live right now and you're like, I get it, I understand, I know what she's talking about, perhaps the answer isn't sharing it on social media or in press the way that I do. But if you could begin to love yourself by not just seeing yourself through the eyes of what happened to you, but embracing yourself, having empathy for yourself, compassion for yourself, forgiveness for yourself, then we're able to move forward in our future with confidence, not because we're running from the past, but because we have the inventory of the past and come away with love and wisdom and compassion, not just for ourselves, but for other people like us and for the world that we live in. And so with Woman Evolve, the movement, I am so passionate about the women connected with the movement, because I am very close to the work that it takes in order for you to finally come to a place where you can embrace yourself.
I think it's so good, and I think it's so powerful. And, you know, I think every single day I get messages from people. You know, I talk about in my book, Believe It, I talk about a journey of God doubt in my life. And I talk about that whole season. And I hear from people every single day on their own journey of faith, or their own journey of having no faith. And a lot of times it's because they feel like they've made too many mistakes, or they're too imperfect to be loved by God, or they're going to be judged if they try to go to church or to start praying, and like the stories that they share. And I think that for so long, a lot of times real life stories weren't always shared in circles of faith and different faiths even, and I say this across all faiths, and I just think that it's so powerful that you share everything so vulnerably, as a pastor,
Yeah.
as someone with an incredible ministry, because I think that is how you create the most rock solid bridge to Jesus, or to faith, is for people to realize that they're welcome there. They're welcome to walk across it. They belong there no matter what's happened in the past. And I think that's huge. And I just want to say that I appreciate that so much. And, one question I would love to ask you that I get asked actually a lot is, how for somebody maybe listening to us right now, right? And they're like, oh, I feel like something's missing in my life. And, you know, but when I pray, I don't know, I just kind of like doubt God exists. Or like, what do you say to someone who really wants to strengthen their faith journey, but they have so much doubt about if God is even real? What do you say to them?
So many times in scripture we hear Jesus and God addressing unbelief and having disbelief. And we're talking about disciples who had unbelief, like following with Jesus and having unbelief. It is not an indictment to have unbelief, but there is this interaction that we see even Jesus have with the disciples in which he confronts that unbelief. And you can pray from that place of unbelief. God is not so fragile that he cannot handle the parts of your life that still have questions. You are allowed to say, God, if you are real, because he already knows that you question it. You don't have to be all like, I totally get everything. You can be confused, you can be lost, you can be on a journey. Just if you are willing to have enough faith to just say if, and invite God into the if, invite God into the wondering, invite God into the ponderings. What would you pray if God was real? What would you pray? And not for things. That's another thing that I would challenge people. A lot of times we feel like we've got to ask for things, and that's when we end up disappointed, because God is not like this genie who's just waiting to pass out whatever we ask for. The greatest gift that God can give you is you, the best version of who you are, the highest, most divine version of who you are. And so, God, if you are real, reveal to me who I am supposed to be in this moment. Reveal to me how I get through this grief. Help me to understand how I show up in this life that you've given me. And, those are some baby steps that we can take to really begin to exercise faith.
I love that. Thank you. Yeah, when I went through a season of God doubt for a number of years, it was actually a therapist I saw for the first time. No one in my family ever went to therapy, right? Went on my own for the first time and was talking about how I doubted God exists. And she said to me, well, what makes you think God can't handle your doubt? I'm like, what do you mean? She's like, well, he created the entire universe. If he did, I don't even know if she has faith, but she said, if he created the entire universe, what makes you think he can't handle your doubt? She's like, why don't you try praying whenever you pray, tell him you doubt him and ask him to prove you wrong. And I was like, okay. So I did that and it took years until he absolutely did, over and over and over. And it was just, I think it's such an important conversation, because I think a lot of people are scared to even admit that, that they have those doubts and that they wonder. And so thank you for sharing, because I think those are really powerful baby steps, even for someone who has a really strong belief already. I think doubt is still a real thing, and I think a lot of people are scared to talk about it as it pertains to their faith. So I think that's huge. Okay, first of all, I could talk to you for like 42 hours. If you could see the number of questions I have prepped, if you could only see, because I literally, if you're just joining us and you haven't grabbed Sarah's book, yes, the Sarah Jakes Roberts, Woman Evolve, so good, how to break up with your fears and revolutionize your life. And Sarah, one thing you talk about that was another big thing for me was this idea of soul care versus self-care. And I was like, this is so good. And I know there are so many people live with us right now that might be hearing this concept for the first time of soul care, right? A lot of people are just starting to get those words off their lips of self-care and not think it's selfish, right? A lot of people are at that space where they're like, okay, I do, but could you talk about this idea of self-care, but also soul care, what that means, how do people implement that in their life? Huge, brilliant. I'm excited about this.
So self-care is so important, right? I would consider self-care the things we do that take care of our physical body. Getting our hair done, getting our nails done, sometimes going to the gym. Those are all forms of self-care. I am not the kind of person who goes to run to clear my mind. That's not, the God hasn't given me that. I run to take care of my body. That's self-care for me. And I would find though that I would do all of those things, but I would still feel like an aching in my soul, like my soul needed something. And I realized that soul care, you don't have to set time aside to do it, because a lot of times I don't go get my nails done because I'm like, if I have time to get my nails done, I have time to take a nap. I am not interested. I am going to bed. But soul care doesn't require you creating this great big atmosphere, though if you can, that's great. Soul care is being daring enough to ask yourself, how are you? And giving yourself time to respond. Like, how are you really? Like last night when we got the news of the New York Times bestselling author, I was like, well, how are you? Like, what does this feel like for you? What does this feel like for your soul? I've been working really hard the last few weeks. Like, how is your soul? Am I weary? Am I tired? Am I happy? Am I excited? We are constantly inundated with other people's experiences, with headlines, with the trauma of the pandemic, with the trauma of social unrest. It's always constantly in our mind, in our hearts, and in our soul. And if we aren't taking the time to check in on our soul, then we could be walking around showing up for everyone else, but our soul is broken. And when I realize where I am with my soul, it helps me to set boundaries. Now I know I can't take on so many meetings, or I need to move things around because my soul's not healthy and I want my soul to prosper. So in the book, I wanted to talk about soul care because so many of us do all of the self-care things and we still feel empty. But soul care is being connected with who you are at your core.
That is so good, because anyone who has had the privilege of going and maybe going to a spa for a day, right? And then they come home and they're like, well, that was great, but why is my soul still, right? This is so good. This is so good. And yeah, and I know what you're saying about choosing a nap over getting nails done.
I go to bed.
Yes, exactly. Okay, last question I have for you, just because I know so many people are so excited. By the way, I see in the comments over and over and over so many people saying, so good, love that, soul care. So, yeah, over and over and over. This is huge. I'm telling you guys, if you're just hopping on live, uh, Sarah Jakes Roberts' brand new book, Woman Evolve, definitely pick it up. I have it in hardcover, a few of them, because I live to highlight, and also the audio version. And I think that sometimes when we have both, we can retain more lessons and stuff like that. So I love to do both. And I've been listening to your audio when I do my morning walks, and so I love it because it's literally shifted my perspective on a few things, and I'm just so grateful. And so if you're just hopping on, definitely pick her book up. And I love this. Break up with your fears and revolutionize your life. In the last minute or two, by the way, you guys, if you're just hopping on, I just want to encourage you to tag. Yeah, see, I need this today. I can't. But tag somebody in your life right now who could be blessed in the next few minutes by Sarah. And by this conversation, right? A lot of people are stuck. It's been a hard 15 months in this pandemic. Self-doubt has taken over. Fear, we talk about fear, right? Has taken over. And so I just want to encourage you to tag someone, because they'll see this comment and they'll hop on live too, just so that they can learn, also so they can learn more about Women Evolve and the book as well, which is now a New York Times bestseller that, just because I'm your friend, I'm going to say over and over and over. And I've been seeing it from the rooftops because I was so excited. And I'm really happy to hear you were so calm and in touch with your soul when you got the news last night. When I saw the list last night that you were on it, I wasn't so calm. And I wasn't so in touch with my soul. I was like yelling, like I was like one of the proud, I don't know. I've never been like a dance mom or so. I don't know. You know what I'm saying? Like the proud person off stage for the person on stage. I was yelling in my kitchen when I saw the news last night. I was so excited because this book is just going to touch and impact so many more. And by the way, let me clarify this. I'm not excited that you're on the New York Times list. I'm excited that because you're on the New York Times list, more people are going to get their hands on this book. More people are going to become aware of this book and of really the revolution of leaving no woman behind in so many ways that you're starting, and just some of the things you share about your journey. I think even if someone has a completely different journey, they can relate to the stories in this book and take those lessons and those nuggets and just those big aha moments, right? So the last question I want to ask you really just is about your own words about fear that I thought were So powerful. And it's this idea that when you avoid what scares you, right? We talked earlier about sometimes when we have thoughts of fear or thoughts of faith, or faith takes over or fear takes over. But when fear takes over, it's like fear convinces us it's keeping us safe and all those other things, right? But you talk about avoiding what scares you means what scares you is in control of you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Can you talk about that? Because
Well,
everyone on here live who wants to break up with their fears, it's sometimes easy to just stay stuck and let what scares us pretend it's just keeping us safe. But you're saying if you're avoiding doing the things you're afraid of or that you're scared of, then what you're scared of is controlling you.
yeah, so I use this analogy. My husband's an excellent motorcycle rider now. When he first started, though, he wouldn't get on the highways. He was still learning how to navigate the bike itself, and so he stayed on the roads, much like anyone does when they're learning to drive. And then one day he was like, "Okay, there's only one way that I can move forward, and that means I have to get on the highway." And it just hit me that so many of us are taking the back roads to destiny because we're too afraid to get on the highway that is required. Sometimes that highway is public speaking. Sometimes that highway is becoming more bold and more confident, but we're so afraid that we'll upset our world or upset our social circle or upset our corporations that we just take the back roads to destiny. And it feels like we're doing it smarter and maybe not harder. But the truth is, our fears are in control of us. As long as we are afraid of how our world will be disrupted by the breakthrough that we need, then we end up missing out on who we could become in the process. And I was sharing earlier, a lot of times we want breakthrough, but we don't want to break down. And in order for
Mm.
us to have breakthrough, we have to be willing to let the walls be busted down a little bit. We got to kick the doors in. We got to mess up the paint and scratch the walls, because at the end of the day, anything that requires faith, anything that requires next level growth, next level dimension, means that we are going to have to confront those fears head on. So avoiding our fears doesn't keep us safe. Avoiding the thoughts, avoiding the pain, avoiding what's happening in the marriage, avoiding what's happening in our hearts and our minds and our self-esteem, it doesn't keep us safe. And we've got to be willing to confront it and let it get a little ugly sometimes so that it can get to the masterpiece.
So good. So good. Thank you so much for this. This was so much fun. Thank you, everyone who's live with us right now. And I always believe whoever needs to be part of something is there. And whoever's live with us now, I don't think it's a coincidence or an accident. I think that your words are so powerful. And I'm just grateful I got to be one of the people live all together right now to be blessed by them. Grateful for your book. If you haven't got your copy of Woman Evolve, get one for all the women in your life too. All the women. And it's so good. And again, literally, Sarah, no joke, I have pages of questions, but to avoid a 45-hour Instagram live, uh, we'll wrap up now because everyone needs to grab the book. It's so good. I want to say congratulations to you again, my friend, on making the New York Times bestseller list. Only because more people are going to find this book out, and it's so good. So the real congratulations is just thank you for bearing your heart, your soul, your words, your calling, your anointing, all of it in this book. I'm so excited for everyone watching us to get it in their hands.
Can I say, and if you guys are just watching, or maybe you came over from my page, Jamie Kern Lima is a woman you need to know. Her book, Believe It, is out. It has been tearing up the New York Times bestsellers list forever. But Jamie has such an incredible gift on her life. And if you get Believe It, you're going to understand the dimensions of it. But she's got an anointing for business. She's got an anointing for helping push people into believing in their own destiny and faith. And Jamie, I know that you had a decision to make. You could be just one of those girls who led with the business space only and just shared your business success and business secrets, but you did the hard, narrow walk of putting your life, your faith, your insecurities, your triumphs all on display so that other women could be helped. And so if anyone has revolutionized their life, it is most certainly you. So I thank you for this opportunity. Thank you for interviewing me about Woman Evolve, but I hope that this is also an opportunity for people to Believe It so that their lives can change as well.
Thank you. I received that with so much gratitude and so much love. So thank you. Sarah Jakes Roberts, you're amazing. I'm blessed to call you a friend. I'm so excited for you. Everyone grab Woman Evolve. Sarah, thank you so much. I'll talk to you soon. I'll try not to send you more cakes like that
No.
have New York Times on.
Bye.
Okay. Okay. Bye. Bye, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us live, and make sure you grab your copy. This book is really, really good. And I hope you just felt the joy and just the words you needed to hear in these past few minutes. I definitely did. And also, one more thing before I hop off, I'm doing a big giveaway on my Instagram. So there's a post today. So blessed that Believe It just made the New York Times list for the 7th week in a row. We're doing a big giveaway there. And there's nothing you need to do to enter. You just comment. So doing a big giveaway on my Instagram page if you want to join that. I'll be back here live Monday night for Monday Night Motivation. I do that every Monday night here live at 5 Pacific, 5 Pacific, 8 Eastern Monday night. So I will see you back live. Thank you so much for supporting Sarah Jakes Roberts. The book is so good, and I love you guys. Thanks.